They tried to silence you before you even knew you had a voice. They tried to break you before you even understood your power. They planted fear, rejection, shame, and confusion just to stop you from rising. But let me tell you something. The attacks didn't come because you were weak. They came because the enemy saw your light before you did. You were born chosen. And now that you're waking up to who you really are, everything is about to change. You don't remember the exact moment it began, but you always felt it. Long before you understood your own strength, the battles had already started. As a child, you were more sensitive. You could feel the tension in a room without anyone speaking. You noticed things others didn't. You questioned everything. And instead of being celebrated, you were often punished for your sensitivity. They told you you were too emotional, too different. But deep down, you always knew something wasn't right with the way the world responded to you. That wasn't just bad luck. That was a silent war being waged against your identity. Because even though you were unaware of it, the enemy already knew you had a calling, a light, a divine purpose. And so it began. Subtle at first. People misunderstood you, teachers picked on you, friends betrayed you, family ignored your pain. Not because you did something wrong, but because darkness recognizes light even when the light doesn't yet know it's shining. The enemy's goal was simple: wound the chosen before they awaken. Break their spirit before it can soar, confuse them so deeply that they'll spend their whole lives questioning their worth. It's a tactic as old as time. Stop the warrior before they realize their royalty, but here you are, still standing, still breathing, still fighting. And that in itself is proof. The plan to destroy you has failed. Before you even knew your own name, the enemy already marked you as a threat. You were born into a spiritual battlefield, not a playground. While others lived without pressure, you felt like you were being watched, opposed, resisted by forces you couldn't explain. That wasn't paranoia, that was discernment. Your light, even hidden, was sending signals into the spirit realm. And the darkness responded. The enemy didn't wait for you to become powerful. He attacked when you were still innocent. Because he could sense what was inside you: clarity, fire, truth, destiny. That's why you were the black sheep. That's why people projected their insecurities onto you. That's why you never felt safe, even in the places that were supposed to protect you. You were chosen before you were even aware of the word. The truth is, hell doesn't come after people without purpose. Demons don't waste energy on the average. They target the ones who are carrying spiritual influence, those who have the power to break generational curses, to shift atmospheres, to wake others up. That's why it's been so hard. That's why you've been misunderstood your entire life. The enemy feared what would happen if you ever figured out who you are. But now, you're starting to remember. The fog is lifting, the lies are falling apart, and that alone is shaking hell's foundation. Because a chosen one who knows their identity cannot be controlled, cannot be manipulated, and cannot be destroyed. You never quite fit in, did you? No matter how hard you tried, there was always something that made you stand out, something unexplainable. You could be in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. You laughed when others laughed, but deep inside you carried a weight, a depth, a fire that no one seemed to understand. That difference wasn't a flaw. It was a mark, a spiritual mark. the signature of someone chosen for something greater. People around you sensed it even if they couldn't name it. They reacted to your presence with envy, fear, or confusion. Some tried to compete with you, others tried to break you. You weren't just disliked, you were targeted. And not because you were arrogant or unkind, but because your presence exposed what others were trying to hide. You reminded them of what they had buried, avoided, or forgotten. You carried truth, and truth always provokes resistance. Even those closest to you couldn't handle your energy. You were too honest, too intense, too deep. They labeled you as too much. But the truth is, they couldn't contain your light. And instead of adjusting to your frequency, they tried to dim you down. They rejected what they didn't understand. And in doing so, they pushed you closer to your awakening. The isolation, the betrayal, the emotional battles. None of it was random. It was all part of a spiritual pattern. The enemy used people, circumstances, and words to try to make you hate yourself, doubt yourself, and abandon your path. But what he didn't realize is that pressure only made you stronger. Rejection only made you search deeper. And pain only pushed you closer to God. Now, the very things that made you feel cursed are the signs that you've been chosen all along. There came a point when things got worse, not better. Just when you started to heal, chaos increased. Just when you began to ask deeper questions, all hell broke loose. That wasn't coincidence, that was warfare. Because the closer you got to discovering the truth about who you are, the more violently the enemy tried to distract, discourage, and destroy you. You started to see through the lies. You noticed the patterns. You realized that some people weren't sent by God, they were sent to delay you. You began to separate from toxic environments, unhealthy habits, and shallow connections. You stopped trying to fit in. You started seeking meaning, and that shift triggered a storm. Suddenly, people turned on you. Loved ones questioned your sanity. You lost things, relationships, opportunities. But what you were really losing was the illusion. And that scared the enemy. Because when a chosen one awakens, their light becomes dangerous. It reveals what was hidden. It exposes the game. It disrupts the system. So the enemy panicked. He increased the pressure. He whispered louder. He sent confusion, temptation, depression, doubt, anything to pull you back into the fog. But you kept walking. Even when you were trembling, even when you didn't understand, even when you cried yourself to sleep. Because something deep inside you was stronger than the noise. It was a knowing, a conviction, a flame that refused to die. That flame is your purpose. That resistance is proof that you're getting closer to your calling. The attacks didn't intensify because you were losing. It's because you were about to break through. You may have asked yourself, well, why did God let it happen? Why didn't he stop the pain, the betrayal, the confusion? But what if the storm was the very tool God used to reveal who you are? What if the suffering wasn't punishment but preparation? You weren't being abandoned, you were being awakened. God never left you. He watched every tear, every breakdown, every moment you thought you couldn't go on. And still, he allowed it. Not because he wanted to hurt you, but because he was building something deeper inside you. The world taught you to be silent. The enemy tried to make you afraid, but God was teaching you to fight, to pray, to stand, to walk by faith, not by sight. Every attack you survived built a piece of the warrior within you. That quiet strength you carry now, it was born in the fire. That discernment you've developed, it came from trusting your spirit when no one else understood you. That unshakable peace you feel in the middle of chaos, it's the result of learning to rely on a power greater than yourself. God allowed the battle so you could meet the version of yourself you never knew existed. Not the broken version they tried to define, not the fearful version you used to believe in, but the warrior version, bold, anointed, unshakable. The enemy's plan was destruction, but God's plan was transformation. Every trial was a training ground. Every loss was a lesson. Every delay was divine protection. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You became something the enemy can't touch anymore. Because once the warrior awakens, the chains break. The fear dies, and the purpose rises. Something has shifted in you. You feel it. The way you think has changed. The way you respond to pain has changed. The way you view yourself completely different now. That's not random, that's awakening. The fog is lifting. The lies are losing their grip. You're no longer moved by the opinions of those who couldn't see your value. You're no longer trying to please people who were never assigned to your destiny. You've started to see yourself through spiritual eyes, and for the first time, you're recognizing the royalty that's been inside you all along. This awakening isn't loud, it's quiet, but it's undeniable. You no longer seek validation because you've already been confirmed by God. You no longer chase after approval because you finally understand you've been chosen, set apart, anointed. The same voice that once trembled in fear now speaks with boldness. The same heart that once ached with loneliness now beats with divine confidence. The same mind that once questioned everything now carries divine clarity. You're not who they said you were. You're not what the trauma tried to make you believe. You're not broken. You're reborn. The enemy tried to confuse you about your identity because he knew the danger of you walking in truth. But now, the veil is torn. You're beginning to understand why the attacks came so early, why the pain was so intense, why the journey was so lonely. It's because your identity is powerful and your purpose is prophetic. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to lead, to shake, to shift. You're not just another soul passing through life. You are a force sent to change it. And now that you're waking up, the enemy knows he's lost his grip on you. Now that you know your true identity, your enemies have lost their power over you. Their words bounce off your soul like water off a shield. Their attempts to shake your foundation only make you stand firmer. The fear that once gripped your heart has been replaced by a divine courage that cannot be extinguished. They fought to keep you in the dark, but you stepped into the light, and that light burns brighter than anything they can throw at you. Your past struggles are no longer chains. They are testimonies of strength. Every betrayal, every pain, every moment of doubt has been transformed into a stepping stone toward your destiny. The enemy's weapons have been disarmed because your spirit is armored by truth and faith. You are no longer a victim. You are a victor chosen to walk boldly. Remember, those who tried to destroy you did so because they feared what you could become. Their hatred was a sign that your power is real, but their attempts were in vain because God's plan for you cannot be stopped by human or spiritual opposition. You are protected, anointed, and crowned. The battle is over for them, but your journey is just beginning. Stand tall, chosen one. Walk with confidence. Your enemies are powerless now because you finally understand who you are, and that truth will set you free forever. You were never meant to carry this journey alone. From the very beginning, God placed a crown on your head, a crown forged in trials, polished by pain, and illuminated by faith. Every step you took through the fire was preparing you to wear it with honor. The enemy fought hard to steal your crown, but he failed because your destiny is divinely sealed. Now it's time to rise, time to walk boldly in your purpose without apology or hesitation. You are the chosen one, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. A royal warrior, a light bearer, a soul appointed to change the world. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Your past does not define you. Your struggles don't disqualify you. Your identity is not a secret, it's your power. The crown has always been yours. It's time to take your place. Step into the glory meant for you. The world is waiting, and the battle has already been won.